1484. The Pope signs a death warrant. Not for criminals, not for heretics. For women, his weapon, a book. The Malleus Maleficarum, the hammer of witches. 500 pages of systematic murder. It asks 3 questions. Do witches exist? What can they do? And how do you find them, torture them, and burn them alive? For the next 300 years, tens of thousands were executed. 80% were women, healers, midwives, widows, women who knew too much. But here's what's insane. 3 years after the Pope endorsed it, he tried to ban his own book. But by then, it was too late. The book had spread across Europe, and the burnings had already begun. Tonight, I'm opening the pages the Pope tried to destroy, and you'll see why some ideas are too dangerous to exist. In 1487, 2 Dominican monks, Heinrich Kramer and Jacob Sprenger, published what they called a manual for the defense of Christendom. Not a Bible, not a prayer book, a hunting guide for witches. Its full title was Malleus Maleficarum, the Hammer of Witches. 500 pages and 3 sections, and one promise to answer the questions that haunted the Church for centuries. Question 1. Do witches exist? Question 2. What can they do? Question 3. How do you find them, interrogate them, and execute them? The book wasn't theoretical. It had illustrations, legal precedents, torture instructions, testimonies, and a seal of approval kicked from the Pope himself. Because in 1484, 3 years before the book appeared, Pope Innocent VIII issued a papal bull, Summis Desiderantes Affectibus, desiring with supreme ardor. In it, he declared, witches are real. They serve demons, they corrupt the faithful, and they must be destroyed. He gave Kramer and Sprenger full authority to hunt them down by any means necessary. The letter spread across Europe. Bishops, princes, inquisitors, everyone got the message. The Vatican has declared war on witchcraft. But here's where the story twists. 3 years later, in 1487, the same Pope tried to suppress the book. Why? Because even by medieval standards, even in an age of crusades and inquisitions, this thing went too far. But by then, it was already too late. The book was in the world, and the burnings had begun. So what was in this book that made it so dangerous? Let's go through it section by section, the way the inquisitors did. Section 1, the existence of witches. The book asked, do witches exist? And the answer wasn't just yes, it was yes, and denying it is heresy. A line from the text reads, "He who does not believe in witches is blinded by the devil himself." So if you said, "I don't think witches are real," you could be tried as a witch. Believe or die. The book argued that witches formed pacts with Satan through carnal union, sex with demons, and women, it claimed, were the most vulnerable. Why? All witchcraft comes from carnal lust, which in women is insatiable. Women were said to be weaker in faith, weaker in intellect, weaker in body, and therefore the natural gateway for demonic corruption. At first, it was fear. Then it became policy. Section 2. What witches can do. The book asked, what powers do witches have? And here, it crossed into pure fantasy. According to the Malleus, witches could fly, transform into animals, cast the evil eye, summon storms, destroy crops, and cause infertility. It even describes witches stealing men's reproductive organs and keeping them in nests. Yes, actual nests. But the most dangerous accusation was this: infanticide. Witches, it claimed, killed babies in the womb, smothered infants, sacrificed children to demons. And who worked with babies? Midwives, healers, women with knowledge, and women with skill. Women with no protection. So when a child died, or fell sick, or a birth went wrong, the midwife was blamed. Section 3. How to find and destroy them. This section was the manual how to identify, interrogate, and execute witches. Step 1. Identify suspects. Older women, widows, healers, midwives, women who lived alone, or simply women who annoyed their neighbors. Step 2. Arrest and isolate. No light, no visitors, days of silence. Step 3. Interrogate. If she denies it. Step 4. Torture. Strappado. Thumbscrews. The rack. Hot irons. And the logic was perfect and evil. If she confesses, she's a witch. If she doesn't, the devil protects her. Step 5. Trial. Step 6. Execution. Burning at the stake. No exceptions. Women like Anna of Ravensburg, healers, midwives, widows, became the first to burn. 3 days of trial, her screams lasting longer. All because a neighbor said she gave him the evil eye. Eat. Why the Pope changed his mind. So the Pope endorsed the hunts in 1484. By 1487, he wanted the book gone. What changed? 2 things, and both reveal something ugly about power. Reason: 1, it spiraled out of control. The book was condemned immediately by theologians and bishops. Letters flooded Rome. This is madness! But it was too late. The book spread faster than the church could control. Accusations multiplied, torture spread, villages burned. It became a machine, self-sustaining, self-replicating. And the man who pressed the first switch couldn't find the brakes anymore. Reason: 2. The authors were frauds. Kramer, the main author, had been expelled from Innsbruck as a fanatic. Humiliated, he wrote the Malleus out of revenge. Sprenger, the so-called co-author, likely didn't write a word. His name was added for credibility. Kramer even forged parts of the papal bull to inflate papal support. By the time the Vatican realized what happened, the hysteria was already unstoppable. The legacy, it spread. Anyway, The church tried to stop the book, but the printing press made it immortal. Between 1487 and 1520, it went through 13 editions. Printers didn't care about theology. They cared about profit. And witch hunting sold. Because once you print something, once it's out in the world, you can't unprint it. The body count. Between 1487 and 1750, 40 to 60,000 people were executed for witchcraft. Some say up to 100,000. 80% were women, old, young, widows, healers, women who owned property, women who spoke too loudly, women who were simply inconvenient. Why it still matters. Because the Malleus Maleficarum was never about witches. It was about control, about turning fear. Fear of disease, fear of death, fear of the unknown, into power. Every moral panic follows the same script. Identify an enemy, dehumanize them, justify violence, silence dissent. The book is still in print today. You can buy it on Amazon, but now we know what it really was. Not a defense of faith, not justice, a weapon. And the scariest truth it revealed? If you give people a target, a justification, and permission from authority, they'll burn anyone and call it righteousness.